Holy shit, it's a double header of podcasts. Thank you for tuning in to the MMA Podcast, episode, 87, I think? 86. Episode 86, April 17th, 2014. We got a jam-packed show. We have two cards to break down. We had a card this past Friday, UFC Fight Night 39, Big Nog versus Big Country, and last night, the Tough Nations finale, Tim Kennedy defeating Michael Bisping. We'll be talking about that fight and how Tim Kennedy stacks up against other fighters in the middleweight division. A little bit of news, John Jones going on a homophobic rant on Instagram. This Saturday we got UFC on Fox 11 to break down. Bunch of stuff, like I said, it's jam-packed. Let's do this shit, cocksuckers.
We did it for the love of the game. We did it, mama. I did it for. Mama. The game will never be the same. We did it, mama. I did it for.
You're listening to the MMA Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the MMA Podcast. Just earlier today, we did the MMA Roundtable. We got deep into mixed martial arts. We're about to get deep once again. We appreciate you tuning in. We are joined tonight. It is myself and three of my very close friends. First and foremost, you know him well from Ramsey's Fight Tips, from the word on the street. You can follow him on Twitter at the Aunt Jimmy Show. What the hell's going on, man?
Not much, Jake from the MMA Podcast. Thank you for once again having me on. I'm just going to be on here. Anybody that's new, listeners out there, anybody, I'm just going to, expose the truth about the aliens. And that's the bottom line. That's the word on the street.
Powerful.
That's right. We also got the world famous ninja. He is known both domestically and abroad. The Gracie Ninja. What the hell's going on, man?
Glad to be here as always. The world famous. Never can keep him down. Never know when he's gonna show up. But I'm here tonight. Thanks, guys.
That's right. A student under the great Renzo Gracie, and of course he's protected the mean streets. It's the Westland Eagle. What's going on, Alan?
How you guys doing tonight? It's wonderful to be in the house.
Doing beautifully, man. I'm looking forward to July. We're planning the trip. Going to be in Vegas for UFC 175 and the Tough 19 finale. Hopefully we can get Ninja there. I've been bugging Ramses. Hopefully we can get Ramses there. Ross will be there. Yao will be there. Chris will be there. It'll be a great time. Speaking of them, follow all those guys. Ross Finkelstein, Yao_the truth. C. Lowenstein, all of our friends. MMA Mental, the J Jeans. They're all over the place. We love the shit out of you. Of course, we're at the MMA Podcast, themmapodcast.com. Visit there and click on the links at the top, iTunes, YouTube. Subscribe to us. We get the episodes up in a pretty timely manner. And if you want to call in, the number is 213-457-3380. You can Skype us at the MMA Podcast, or like I said, our Twitter handle before, at the MMA Podcast. Tweet into the show. We'll read that shit on air, whether you want us to or not. If you tweet it at us, we will read it. Let's get straight to this past Friday's card, April 11th card from Abu Dhabi, Big Nog versus Roy Nelson. It was like an early afternoon card. It was sort of weird. Unless anyone has any comments on the Fight Pass, we sort of went deep into the podcast on the roundtable. Wins by Hani Yahya, Jim Ehlers, Dallas Lates, and Jared Rocholt. Unless anyone has anything on those fights, which if you do, interrupt the shit out of me right now. We'll move on to the main card. We'll just start with those first two fights. Ramsey Nijem winning via TKO over Beneil Dariush. Dariush came in with a really good grappling and jiu-jitsu acumen. Nijem landed some amazing hooks, some counter hooks in the tie clinch, won it via TKO in the first round. Ryan LaFleur gets another difficult test. He beat Court McGee in his last fight. Now John Howard, yet another young guy moving up the ranks of the welterweight division now. Now we have Thatch, LaFleur, Nelson, Gastelum, a ton of guys. That's a really exciting division. We'll break down the Guida and Nelson wins on their own. But let's talk about just that Nijum and LaFleur win. Let's do an order of Allen, then Ninja, then Ramses for the whole show, because nobody can fucking follow Ramses, because he's a goddamn killer, ladies and gentlemen. So Allen, I'll throw it to you first. What did you think of Ramsey Nijum and Ryan LaFleur's win? And Ninja and Ramses, whenever the person before you is done talking, don't even wait for me. Just jump in and break that shit down.
Definitely super impressed with Nijum. I actually thought that he was going to get out grappled and, taken to the ground and controlled. But, man, look, I mean, just striking looked crisp. I know he trains at the Pit and, with Seiler and some of those other guys. And, they got a really good camp there. But to see him come out there and he was dominant up against a guy that a lot of people didn't give him any chance at beating. So, he completely caught me off guard, and that was a great win. As far as the Ryan LaFleur and Howard fight, I've noticed that, LaFleur, he grounds out victories, he grinds them out towards the end, and, you look at him and you think that he might be getting tired, but he's able to just keep pushing, and he's got that, that extra wrestler strength and that extra endurance that you don't see from a lot of guys. And I think that's going to carry him really far in the division, because that's what you need to win fights when they're close, to be able to pull out just that extra little bit of, whatever you need to beat the other guy when, you're both pretty equal. And, he was able to do that and press the fight, keep John Howard down, control him towards the end of the fight. And, it was a really, really good matchup. Both guys, they really matched up really well. And we saw it was really exciting too, a lot of transitions, and it was just a really good matchup between those two guys. But LaFleur definitely proved that he's a really up and coming guy.
Really quickly, Ninja, before you jump in, our friend Davey Boy, he was on a few minutes for the end of the round table. He's back on now. Davey Boy, what the fuck's up? Where do we find you on Twitter before we continue?
Hey, what's happening, Jake from the MMA Podcast? This is David Boy, and you can find me on Twitter at DAVEI_BOI. How you doing?
Doing well. We may as well slot you in here. I guess the order we'll stick with. We'll do Allen leading off, then you, Davey, then the Ninja, then Ramses. The topic is just those first two main card fights of that Nog Nelson card. Ramsey Nijum defeating Beniel DeRush, and Ryan LaFleur defeating John Howard via decision. What'd you make of those two fights? And then Ninja, you can jump in whenever afterwards.
Ryan LaFleur against Doomsday, John Howard. I predicted that Ryan LaFleur was going to win that fight. I wasn't too surprised at Ryan LaFleur's skills and stuff. I knew it was gonna kind of be a grinder, so that didn't surprise me. And I don't remember the last fight that you were talking about and stuff. It didn't really catch my eye or anything like that. But the Ryan LaFleur one, I was expecting that.
You there, Ninja? Ninja, are you with us? You might be muted up. Hello.
Yeah, I got you now.
There he is. What up, Ninja?
There he is. Yeah, with the Ninja fight, I was really impressed. It seems like, just to me, the Pit hasn't really been putting out some top guys, and it's good to see somebody with that striking and stuff be able to pop up like that. I was really impressed with his performance, as GSP would say. I think he did a great job. And the other fight with LaFleur, I got to admit, I really didn't expect. Yes, he's a grinder. I don't know. I didn't expect what he did. I just didn't expect it out of him. And he kind of proved something to me. He kind of proved that that he has that ability to just grind you and wear you into the mat. And he fought a really tough opponent. And like I said, he just stayed on him, and you just can't underestimate people like that. Just have that grinding ability.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. If you've listened to the past 85 episodes of the MMA podcast, you know that I've always been a proponent, a supporter, a promoter of Wally Burger here in Austin, Texas, where I live. And sad to say, something went wrong on the day of the fights. I went to go get Wally Burger. I went to go get 2 hot dogs. They have 2 different kinds of hot dogs now. The chili cheese and the regular dog with... It's got the relish and whatnot. They fucked up my order.
That was actually the Wally Burger website. I went to verify this on the menu.
Yeah, it's a new thing here. They fucked up my order. They gave me 2 chili cheese, and they didn't even take off the onions like I asked. So that was all fucked up when I got home, and I turned on the UFC Fight Pass to start watching this card. And for the Flair, the Doomsday, the Ramsey Ninja fight, I was so upset and enraged. I was seeing red. I didn't pay that much attention to the fights themselves. I was just discovering what had happened. You can imagine my shock. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll probably call the manager tomorrow, maybe even Wally himself, and I'll have to rewatch these fights. I have no opinion. I barely watch. It's like when you're trying to read a book, but your mind's elsewhere. And I'm sorry. That's the word on the street.
We've all been there. I hope you were able to come to your senses for the co-main event, which won fight of the night. Speaking of the bonuses, Ramsey Ninja was awarded a performance of the night for that first round TKO. Clay Guida, Tatsuya Kawajiri. Guida was going to this fight a little bit shaky. He was 1-3 in his last 4. Kawajiri was on a 6-fight winning streak, and both of them sort of turned their trajectories around. Guida puts a loss in the loss column of Kawajiri, and Clay Guida back on the right track. He might have something here at featherweight. The way he just so awkwardly and sporadically moves around and strikes, he offers a pretty interesting challenge for everyone he fights. What do you think about the fight, and what do you want to see next for either guy? I think Guida recently called out Conor McGregor. Personally, I think a match between Tatsuya Kawajiri and Chan Sung Jung would be fun as hell. I don't know when Jung's going to be returning from that injury, but I'd love to see that. As far as Guida, I mean, shoot, match him up against Conor. That would be a fun fight. I don't know if the fight between Conor and Cole Miller is set up yet, but I would love to see Conor McGregor versus Clay Guida. That'd be so fun. What do you think, Alan? I know you were rooting for Kawajiri. You didn't necessarily get the result you wanted to see.
Yeah, I was pretty bummed out, but I was really happy with the fight. I think both guys performed really well. Clay Guida looked like the old Clay Guida again. I mean, he was throwing punches. I mean, that's something we haven't seen in a long time. And just, the wrestling, the grappling match between the two, it was back and forth with, Guida being the bigger, stronger guy on the cage and Kawajiri being able to, to reverse him and, change positions, go for some submissions that were really, really, really close. And it was a really good matchup. Joe Silva did a really good job of matching those two guys up. And, they put on a hell of a performance. And, yeah, definitely next in line, I definitely think that Clay Guida, him against Conor McGregor, would be a much better headliner for a fight night card in Ireland than, having Cole Miller. I think the idea of Cole Miller fighting McGregor is terrible. Cole Miller doesn't draw. He didn't draw in his home state of Georgia. He's not going to draw overseas. He can't talk trash. He's boring. He's basically the Yao Nakroma of the UFC. I mean, the guy has no skills trash talking. So I definitely think Clay Guida, definitely presents a problem as well for Conor because, Conor's got that meticulous, pace that he, puts on guys to where he just, kind of stalks them down. And I don't think he'd be able to do that to Guida. So he'd have to, change up his game plan a little bit. And as far as like Kawajiri goes, man, I really, anybody in the top 15, he lost to Guida. It was a really close matchup, but I think there's other guys in the top 10, top 15 that, he's capable of beating. So, I don't know about the Korean Zombie. I don't even want to mention his name because who knows when he's coming back or, if he's coming back. I'd kind of like to see Korean Zombie get a tune-up match whenever he comes back, like Akira Kurosawa. Yeah, Kawajiri versus anybody, man. It'd be great.
Zombie.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, I actually was happy with that fight, even though like I was actually rooting for Kawajiri, but it was good to see Clay Guida really use his skills instead of running like what he was doing against Gray Maynard. But I mean, Clay Guida calling out Conor McGregor, it's about time someone tries to call him out and make sense. But I don't see. I mean, I would love to see him fight against Conor McGregor, and it would probably be in Ireland. But I don't think the UFC would want to match them up or match Conor McGregor with Clay Guida because they're trying to. It's not that they're to me. It's not like they're trying to draw Conor McGregor to hype him up or anything like that. But also, I think that what they're trying to do is like trying to get someone in Ireland, and just try to build the Ireland fans for the UFC. So I think them trying to match him up with Cole Miller, that's kind of like a tune-up match for Conor McGregor in the sense to where like he could possibly win that. It'd be a good match for Conor McGregor to win. But as far as who Clay Guida fights next, I actually would like to see him fight Dustin Poirier. I mean, they both just got done with the fight. They're both their prospective fights and stuff like that. Match the two of them up. I mean, they're both in the top 10 in my eyes. So I think a matchup with him with Dustin Poirier and Clay Guida would probably make more sense than anything.
Yeah. Contrary to what everybody else has been saying, I'm a huge Clay Guida fan. And it's been really tough to admit that the last, 3 or 4 fights that he's had, because I don't know, he just seemed to have lost his spark. He just seemed to lost something, and it was fantastic to be able to see that again. I love this guy. He's fucking insane. He is just nuts, and I love that about Clay Guida. He goes in there every time's a war. This was a great fight. Like previously mentioned, it was like the Clay Guida of old, and that's the Clay Guida that's gonna sell fights. That's the Clay Guida that I like to see. As far as who he needs to fight next, I personally don't really care. Just because I know it's going to be, if this is the Clay Guida that's back, or the new Clay Guida, or whoever wants to say it, if this is the Clay Guida that's going to show up, he could fight a dog and a bear in the ring, and it'd still be fucking awesome.
All right, I'll keep it short because I'm not a Clay Guida fan. No secret here, no lie. As soon as he won this damn fight, the first thing I said to myself was, "Oh Jesus! Now we have to put up with Clay Guida for at least the rest of the year." I was hoping this Kawajiri would take him out and end Clay Guida because every day that he's a UFC fighter under contract is an insult to every other UFC fighter under contract. Clay Guida, I'm sorry, I just can't be a fan. It's over. I think maybe Kawajiri was paid off to take a dive because I don't see how anyone could lose to Clay Guida. I mean, that's the bottom line. And yes, I'm being 100% serious. I wish that Vince McMahon would show up and just tell Clay Guida, you're fired. That's what I wished for. And hopefully someday soon. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, Guida isn't going to get fired anytime soon, though. Neither is Roy Nelson. Nelson doing what a lot of us predicted he'd do, knocked Big Nog out in the first round. So the two, really there's not much to say about the fight. It played out just like a lot of us did. Big Nog's boxing was a lot sloppier than I expected. I thought he would at least put his left arm up to block the overhand right, but he didn't. He threw a sloppy jab. Nelson took advantage through that counter overhand right, ended it 3:37 into the first round. Who next for Roy Nelson? My vote is Mark Hunt. That would be a hell of a fight. Both of those guys can throw a knockout punch and have iron chins. And the question that a lot of people are asking, Big Nog says he wants another fight against Mir, which is kind of crazy after what Mir did to his arm. But should Nog keep on fighting? Should Nog retire? What next for Roy Nelson? What you think of the fight, Alan? Last topic before we move on to last night's Bisbing Kennedy card.
16-7.
It was definitely exactly how I expected the fight to play out. Roy Nelson, as long as it's not a super athletic, beast of a man like Daniel Cormier, he's going to win. If he fights any of these heavyweights that's, not athletically inclined, and they're just, like the typical, big man, it doesn't matter, what their specialty skill is or anything, he's going to beat them. They're not going to be able to move fast enough to get away from his, overhand right. He's going to set him up with the left and drop the big, Roy Nelson bomb with the right. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, he cleaned Big Nog's clock, put him stiff on the ground, and, chalk one more up for the fat guy.
We all predicted this on podcast 85. I mean, I couldn't see how Big Nog can go in there and win a fight against Roy Nelson when Roy Nelson's going on the ground and his hands are a lot better than Big Nog. Like I said, for me, like I was hoping for a sub, honestly, but I mean, him knocking out Big Nog, I mean, I was ready for it, but just how he did it, that knockout just looked violent when Nog went on the ground. I mean, he went stiff for a few seconds. So I mean, I think Nog calling out Frank Mir, I think he just wants one more match and then he's going to retire. I think he wants to kind of try to redeem himself against Frank Mir when he broke his shoulder, basically, with that Kimura. So I think what he wants to do is, get that last match against Mir, and then he'll probably retire, win or lose. And as for Roy Nelson, who he should fight next, I mean, I'll agree with you, Jake, on that one. I mean, I think a Mark Hunt, Roy Nelson fight, that's hashtag dynamite on that one.
Well, I may be the stupidest person on this podcast because I sure as fuck didn't see that happening. I really didn't have Big Nog winning this. I just don't think he's in the shape and he has the conditioning and the skills to go anymore. I had hoped this went to the ground a little more. Maybe Big Nog could have squeezed it out. I can't. What the hell happened to the Big Nog that nobody could knock out? What the hell happened to that guy? Apparently, that guy is long gone because I did not see this coming at all. Yes, fatty there. Sorry. Yeah, he's got great hands, but man, to knock Big Nog out like that's huge. What's next for Big Nog? Yeah, I'd like to see him fight Frank Mir just because I hate Frank Mir's guts. Frank Mir, if you're listening, you're a piece of shit. I hope he beats the shit out of you. And then, yeah, I think it's probably time for Nog to be done as far as Big Country goes. Yeah, I think you guys are onto something with Mark Hunt. I think that somebody, Lorenzo Fertitta, Joe Silva, Dana White's got to be looking at as a potential fight of the year, because what I expect out of that is those two guys just standing in front of each other and just throwing until somebody goes down. So that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, man. Big Nog. It's all over for this guy. I think everybody sees it. I don't see him getting another fight. Not in the UFC anyway. I mean, the first time I ever called into the MMA podcast, like I said, is because I saw that fight with Nog versus Dave Herman. It was after Nog got his arm ripped in half and then surgically reattached. He comes up and he beats Dave Herman in front of his home crowd of Brazil. Submission. Dave Herman's laughing his ass off as it happens. I mean, they gave him a little bit. They revived him. They gave him the paddles. They brought him back to life. He paid what he had to pay. And then Roy Nelson destroyed him, absolutely killed him. Make no mistake, Nog was dead for 1 minute at least. They always pan the camera away when they revive people. That's a fact. It's about time for Nog to retire. The writing is on the wall. Even you could see it on his face when he was fighting Roy. He knew Big Country was gonna knock his ass out. He knew it. You could see it on his fucking face. He knew it, man. He knew it. And sad to see. I know he's a legend in some parts or whatever, but not to me. So it was just a fun knockout to watch, and that's the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line. Because Ramsey said so. Let's move on to the Tough Nations finale. We saw Michael Bisping and Tim Kennedy. Honestly, for the listeners' sake, we did go pretty in depth on it. Let's break down every fight that wasn't Kennedy Bisping in one group. Obviously, the fights that stand out: Dustin Poirier winning via TKO over Akira Corsani. Patrick Cote defeating Kyle Noak in the coaches' battle, unanimous decision. Elias Thurodo and Chad Laprice becoming the new Tough Nations champions. Sarah Kaufman and Ryan Jimmo winning fights they were heavily favored in. Like I said, Nunes with that quick knockout. Mark Bocek defeating Mike De La Torre, who they signed just a few days before the show. A couple other fights between guys in the house, guys you probably won't hear about much. What stood out to you, Alan? Obviously, your boy Dustin Poirier and your boy Thomas Webb in his corner. That must have been exhilarating to watch. Is Alan with us? Did Alan get shot? Alan dropped off.
He's gone, man.
I think he wants you to call him back.
He's under
Just
fire.
saw that on the messages. There you
Shit,
go.
I did not see that. Before we let Davey jump in, let's see if we can get Alan back on the call. I'll stall, read out the other things that happened on the card. We saw George Roop defeat Dustin Kimura, Mitch Gagnon over the tough 17, I guess, or no, tough 18 alum Tim Gorman. Richard Walsh over Chris Indich, a couple of Tough Nation guys. Nordine Taleb over Vic Grujic, another couple of Tough Nation guys. Like I mentioned, Mark Bocek. It was interesting in the KJ Nunes versus Stam Stout fight. They were both supposed to come in at lightweight, and they sort of made a gentleman's agreement. Jesus Christ, where am I tonight? A gentleman's agreement to fight at welterweight, which is really cool. You know, they both spared one another the shittiness of cutting a bunch of weight. Obviously, Nunes felt fresh in the cage, knocked Stat out in 30 seconds. Alan's still joining the call, so if he joins, we'll tack him on after Ramsey. So I'll throw it to you first, Davey. Of all these fights, up to Kennedy Bisping, we'll break that down on its own. We won't get to that yet. But which fights stood out to you, and do any fights stand out to you as far as what you want to see get made after all this?
Sam Stout against KJ Nunes. I seen a couple of people retweet
called
me
it.
after. I did call it. I was happy about that one. I mean, seeing KJ hit that counter right hook, and then you see Sam Stout go down. That impressed me. But when KJ was going down for the knockout blow, he just landed it flush on Stout's face, and then next thing you know, you see Stout thinking that like the fight's still going on, and him trying to put I'll steal one from Ramsey's trying to put Yves Levine in a guillotine, you know. So I was actually happy about that fight when I was watching it. Oh man! Other than that, though, I mean, obviously Dustin Poirier and Kira Corsani. You know, that was like I couldn't understand why Kira Corsani was in there with Dustin Poirier, but he did show up in the first round. He kind of was hitting Poirier with some good shots. So that second round, though, I mean, Poirier just like turned it up and proved why Akira Corsani should not fight anybody in the top 10 as of yet. As for Kyle Noak and Patrick Cote, I was actually rooting for Noak, you know, just because of the fact that like there's no one from Australia that, you know, got into the finals. So I was like, all right, I think Kyle Noak's gonna like, you know, be a little bit more motivated and try to win one for you know, for the down under. But Cote, That's TriStar for you, man. I mean, they come up with some awesome game plans, and Cote showed why Canada, Team Canada is better than Australia. But other than that, as for the finalists of the Ultimate Fighter, I was impressed. Actually, the whole card I was impressed because I mean I was watching the Ultimate Fighter nations, Team Canada versus Team Australia. I couldn't watch it. It was just too boring to me. But like the card itself, though, I was extremely impressed. So that's my take on it.
I think Alan actually joined back, so I'll let Alan jump in. We're breaking down every single fight up toward Kennedy Bisming. Canadians winning Tough Nations. Chad Laprice at welterweight, Elias Thurido at middleweight, Patrick Cote beating Kyle Noak in the coaches' battle at welterweight. It was in Canada. Canada pretty much dominated the show. But like I said, I know you're really pumped about your boy Dustin Poirier winning it. The coach who was actually in the corner, Thomas Webb, actually a coach of yours. That must have been really fun to watch.
Yeah, super cool seeing Dustin go out there. Got in a little bit of trouble, was cocky. Let Corsani hit him a couple of times, stunned him a little bit. So, kind of needed that to wake him up. And then once he started pouring on the heat, Akira quit like a bitch. Said his nose got broken, and that's why he, stopped fighting. But hats off to Dustin, man. And yeah, Thomas, my coach, has been in Florida at American Top Team for the last 6-7 weeks training with Dustin. Made the trip to Canada. Was the guy in the corner that was the third man besides Mike Brown and the other light-skinned guy. He was outside the ring making the diamond symbol as Dustin was doing his post-fight interview. But it was really cool. I thought the fights altogether, they were all good. Both the Ultimate Fighter matchups were really cool. I did watch this season, even though it was terrible. But super impressed with the entire card as a whole. The only two takeaways I have from, the prelims and then the main card is, first off, can we please not ever have another fucking Ultimate Fighter that involves anybody from Australia, at least for 10 years. Jesus Christ, they suck and they lose at everything. And the second thing is, how does Nordine Taleb go from the Ultimate Fighter Team Canada on this season to not making it to the finals, to getting to fight on the prelims, and then he loses and doesn't even make it into the house on the Ultimate Fighter 19. That's just crazy.
Yeah, that was kind of wild. Ninja?
Well, let me tell you a little something about Ninja Land. Currently, I am in a cave with a little fire in the corner of the room. My ninja bed, just as a ninja would live, as you would guess, here in Ninja Land. Unfortunately, due to the man trying to keep us ninjas down and trying to keep us secret, they don't provide cable to caves here in Ninja Land. So I didn't get to watch any of this card, which brings me to my next point. If the UFC is going to put something on television, why in the hell wouldn't they put it on their Fight Pass for free as well? Like, seriously. I would settle for a replay, honestly. But, I'll talk to Dana about that. When the Ninja speaks, Dana White listens. So, and thirdly, about the this Tough Nations thing, let's get real, people. If you're going to watch a Tough episode that does not contain in any way, shape, or form Shale P. Sonnen, then it's not worth watching. No disrespect to the people that fought on the show, but come on, look at your competition right now. I'm surprised that anybody even watched this season. What season? The season with Shale. and Jones, and then the season with Shale right now. It just trumps everybody. So nothing's ever, ever, ever gonna measure up to that.
My God.
My God, the ninja's feed is going spastic.
Yeah, we got a little bit of some Robo Ninja in the house, but that's fine. You know, I don't have much to say about these particular sets of fights, except that it was I'm not gonna lie, I I got a little happy about seeing Sam Stout ceremoniously knocked out. He had it coming ever since he took advantage of my master, the Thug Jitsu master, Eves Edwards. In their fight, you know, the Eves had it. He was that day he was running he's never told anyone he was running a fever of 108. He'd just gotten a phone call 10 minutes before the fight that all his friends and family were dead. They were killed in some sort of weather thing, and he had to fight. And Sam Stout took advantage of him. Never forgiven him. So it's fun seeing him knocked out. It's probably time for him to hang it up, right? I mean, yes, the man is younger than I am, but let's. I'm demanding his retirement right here on the MMA podcast. You hear me, Sam? I'm sorry. It's time. Quote Bruce Buffer. Word on the street.
Yeah, Sam is only 29, but the guy's got a lot of fights under his belt. Last night we saw his 31st professional MMA fight. His 10th loss coming to the hands of KJ Noons 30 seconds in. Let's get straight to the main event. Michael Bisping was a pretty big favorite, but you look at his record, everybody he has a win against. I mean, there's no one really to point out. None of them are active UFC fighters, and Tim Kennedy is not a slouch. Kennedy went in there, put it to Michael Bisping. We saw a much different Michael Bisping than we've seen in the past. This was a shell of the Michael Bisping we saw fight Chael Sonnen. Kennedy put it to him toward the end of the fight, almost took him down at will. Won the fight 49-46 on two judges' cards, 50-45 on one judge. Most people I follow on Twitter had scored it 49-46, a couple 48-47s scattered in there. I think pretty much everyone gave Bisping the second round. I don't know what the third judge was looking at, but nonetheless, Tim Kennedy uses a very good game plan of just driving Michael down, grinding him out, pulling him into deep water, and winning the fight. It was awesome. What did you think of the fight? What next for Kennedy? What next for Bisping? Do you think the eye injury is still affecting him, Alan?
I think he dropped off again.
Oh, that son of a bitch. We'll throw it to Davey then. What do you think?
All right, first, as long as Michael Bisping loses, I am a happy man, actually. I see a lot of people make some comments like, oh, this fight was boring. They were talking too much trash, and they didn't show up in the cage, and I agree with them in some aspects. But like for this one, if Michael Bisping loses every single time when he comes to the cage, I am a happy man. I was very happy with the fight. Tim Kennedy did use his game plan. He was mounting him, he was mounting the man, and he was hitting him with some good shots. A lot of people are saying, like, I see a lot of people on the Twitter feed saying that Michael Bisping, he got dominated. But I've heard all the people saying, like, that eye injury must still be affecting him. And actually, I was coming into the MMA roundtable, and you and Jay were talking about that, and you were saying that he looked cross-eyed, in the fight. I mean, that could be the case. Bisping's eye must still be affecting him, maybe. Or I think Tim Kennedy just dominated him. He was mounting him. Just easily just cut through him like paper and stuff. And for Tim Kennedy, who do I see him fighting next? I mean, Mark Munoz does sound something intriguing, someone in the top 10 and stuff for him next. As for Michael Bisping, who should he fight next? Oh, that one's hard to say. I mean, I heard Luke Rockhold calling out Michael Bisping too. So, I mean, maybe that'd be the case right there.
We'll throw it
Well,
back to
let's-
Alan. Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's throw it back to Alan really quick because he dropped off. What'd you think of Kennedy Bisbing?
Man, it's really strange. I like looking at Bisping's performance. Man, I know he's been off for a year, but in the stand up, it kind of just like made me feel like something was still wrong with his eye, like his depth perception or something. I know my mom, she fell out of a tree and it caused her to go cross-eyed. I think it detached her retina or something. She had to have surgery to fix it. And I know like her vision like was messed up for a long time afterwards. And he just the way that he moved on his feet, he didn't look like the same Michael Bisping. He looked really good as like physically, but just the way he performed and like standing up on the feet, I don't know. I question that there's still something wrong with him. But as far as Tim Kennedy goes, he did everything that he needed to do. Man, he got Bisping on the ground, controlled him. I think the only problem with Kennedy is whenever he gets in there with a super athletic guy that's going to be really fast, he's not going to be able to be as slow and methodical as he is with his takedowns, because his takedowns, he doesn't set them up really well. Like whenever he throws his punches, he doesn't set them up as well as other fighters do. And you look at Chael and look at his double leg, how he shoots. It's a hard double leg. Well, Kennedy, he gets up in there on like a single, and then he'll change to a double leg up against the cage, and it's just real methodical. But he did look good. I was impressed. I thought all the people that were criticizing him for not punching enough are out of their mind, saying that he was just laying and praying, because I think he did like a really good job. He was landing some hard shots, man. He knocked Bisping down. It was a really good performance on his part. There wasn't anything else that he could have done better. He was trying to finish the fight on the ground, was trying to move to the dominant position, and so I don't get all the criticisms. I think it was a really good performance, and man, I would love to see him rematch with Jacare, but I have a feeling that they're probably gonna have him fight somebody else. I don't know. He's already fought Rockhold. He pretty much Rockhold out athleticized him, beat him with his athleticism basically. So I don't know, but I was impressed with the fight. I hope Michael Bisping recovers fully. If he doesn't, I think he needs to hang it up.
Finally, the Ninja gets to bring this topic back to reality. We kind of got out in the clouds there. Michael Bisping is the frickin' king. I absolutely love this guy. I've talked to him quite a bit. He's just a stand-up. He's a great guy. I literally found out he lost, though, 47 minutes ago now. Like I said, I didn't watch the fight. I don't know what happened. I've just gone off what people have said, and we talked a little bit about this fight before we came on the air. I love Michael Bisping to death. I'm not gonna make excuses and say, it was a year off. It was because that's not the kind of fighter Michael Bisping is. Michael Bisping isn't gonna say, "Oh, my eye hurts," or it was the long layoff. That's not who he is. That's not what he does. If his eye's still messed up, Michael Bisping's gonna get in there and fight either way. Michael Bisping will fight if he has no eyes. That's the kind of person Michael Bisping is. It's unfortunate hearing about the way this fight went. I think everybody in the entire world knows that the big hole in Michael Bisping's game is A, the H-bomb from Dan Henderson, but we don't have to go there. And B, if you take him down to the ground, it's no secret. Anybody who's anybody is going to plan to do that. And I think of Michael Bisping as a legend. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a great guy. And anybody that, are we looking at guys for going in and strategically trying to win fights, or are we going to try to entertain the crowd? I was hoping Tim Kennedy would come in there. Hey, and let's stand and let's throw hands.
By God.
My God.
Your connection's getting a little rough, Ninja. I'm gonna go ahead and cut you off and let you rejoin afterwards. I couldn't hear what you were saying. Let's try and ring him back now. See if he picks up.
He was on fire though.
Yeah, it was on fire, and then the Skype connection just threw him into stroke mode.
Screwed.
Yep.
Threw him into fucking stroke mode. Let's see if he can pick up. The connection might not even be good enough for him to accept a call. Yeah, I like how the floor is sort of split between the Bisbing love and the Bisbing hate. Speaking of the Bisbing hate, our boy Mystery at MYST3RYDEJA, he tweeted at us twice. First he said, "Damn son, I sent some hate on Canada from the crew. Cocksucker." No hate for Canada. I do have a little hate on Bisbing, but zero hate for the Canadians. He also tweeted, "Stop the hate on Bisbing, boys.
Canada,
our home and native land." He also said, "Stop the hate on Bisbing, boys. He's a beauty. Hashtag I caramba." Ninja Larson, he's not picking up. He's floated off into Ninja Land. So I'll pass to you, Ramses. Bisbing, Kennedy, what'd you think? I think I heard the snores all the way from Austin, Texas. Wait, nope, sorry. Actually, Ninja's calling back now. Good timing, Ninja. You were fading off there. You were on a rant though. You want to wrap it up for us? I think we were hearing the very end of it before Skype fucked you over.
Am I coming through a little bit better now?
Much better.
Hopefully. Anywho, if you're game planning to go in against Michael Bisping, and your game plan is just take him down and lay on top of him for 5 rounds, 3 rounds, however long, that's kind of sad. I think it should be no surprise to anybody out there that Michael Bisping's probably towards the end of his career. Why not stand out there and give the fans what they want? Let's stand and throw some hands. Kind of disappointed with Tim Kennedy for that. Like I said, I didn't see his performance, but I'm hearing a lot about that. I think Tim Kennedy.
Oh no!
I don't think he's not bad in the stand-up game. Am I dropping again, or am I still good?
No, you're good now. You're good.
Good, sweet. All right, yeah. I don't think anybody discredits Tim Kennedy's stand-up game. Just stand and give the fans what they want. Hopefully, like Alan said, hopefully Michael Bisping, if something's still wrong with him, hopefully he can sort that out and be back. As far as who Michael Bisping should fight next, hopefully somebody that's going to stand there and not lay and pray. Stay away from TriStar and Greg Jackson's gym. Somebody that'll just stand and somebody that's willing to, just throw punches and see who goes down. God bless Michael Bisping.
God bless him indeed, people. Also going to try and keep this short. The Michael Bisping, Tim Kennedy. First of all, I love you guys to death, but I refuse to believe that Michael Bisping was cleared to fight by medical professionals and doctors, and nobody noticed that he was cross-eyed. All right, I'm not buying that. Okay, I think he's fine. It's all in your head. You're imagining things. You want to count him out. Get it? But the count is here to stay. But that being said, and it's not Michael Bisping's fault, but this was the worst fight ever put that I've ever seen on television. This is quite possibly the worst single thing ever put on television, in my opinion. This fight was a tragedy. It was a nightmare, and it was all the fault of Timothy Kennedy. All right? I'm proud of his service, thank you, or whatever, but he's, as far as the UFC goes, he's got to go. I'm calling for his immediate resignation or firing. This fight was absolute bullshit. Only Tim, only Chael can get away with making something like that performance look exciting. All right, he just doesn't have it. All right, this fight stunk. It was painful to watch. I was angry inside, and I don't like feeling like that in this life. If I see Tim Kennedy walking around here in my city of Austin, Texas, even though the fight was on free television, I'm still going to ask him for my money back. I'll be polite at first. This is bullshit. It stunk. It's not Michael Bisping's fault. I'm done with Tim Kennedy, and that's the word on the street.
Damn, he's putting the roaster on Tim Kennedy. Wrapping up the Tough Nation finale, and the other fight night card we broke down. A little bit of news to break down as well, so let's get straight to it. The news. This recent news, man, we've been talking a lot about the gaffes that Jon Jones has made. He makes yet another one. This is pretty much the long and the short of it. This Swedish kid, this like 14 or 15-year-old Swedish kid, says to Jon Jones, oh, you're calling Gustafsson scared when you're afraid to fight him on the rematch. You got carried out of the ring. #coward. Jones goes on this kid's Instagram account and tweets, "You two are definitely gay" on one picture. "You definitely have sexual identity issues" on another. "Fag shit" on another. "Fag boys" on another. "Homosexuality is a sin" on another. He said that his phone was hacked, which is funny for two reasons. One, he posted a selfie after he made all those comments, so I guess the hacker must have been a splitting image for Jon Jones. And what kind of hacker or what kind of person who steals a phone is gonna defend the person he just stole a phone from on Instagram? It was obviously Jon, and yes, obviously Dana White, Melky Kawa, and everybody are gonna help cover it up because they stand to make a lot of money from Jon Jones being marketable. This doesn't help. He has a lot of big sponsorships, Nike, Gatorade, obviously the UFC. He walks out in UFC gear. But Jon Jones just making stupid decision after stupid decision. We're calling it Faggate 2. Obviously, we had Faggate with Nick Diaz just about 6-7 months ago. Faggate 2 with Jon Jones all over Instagram. You know what? I know the ninjas just revving up, ready to go. So we'll pass it to the ninja first. Let him cut a killer promo. We'll do Ninja Alan Dave, then of course Ramses to wrap it up. Ninja, Jon Jones, you put out an ultimatum for him a few weeks ago when he came after me on Twitter. Apparently he didn't listen to the first ultimatum. So Ninja, set this Jon Jones kid straight.
Listen up, Johnny Bones Jones. You're right. He's absolutely right. He didn't answer my ultimatum, and before I get into detail about this Jon Jones cat, this quote unquote man that he tries to portray that he is, I did actually talk to Dana White about the little quarrel with the MMA podcast. And I spoke with Mr. White, and this is actually 100% true. If that, in fact, is the image that the UFC is trying to portray with their champions, with their so-called champions. And we had a long discussion, and I didn't want to drop Jon Jones's name. I said, we've got a little problem with one of your champions. And frankly, he's not acting like a champion. He's representing you and your company bad, and I think you should know about it. And Dana White's first question was, who is it? And I said, I really don't want to drop the name, but I will because you asked. It's Jon Jones. he kind of went over the top. I screenshotted what the MMA podcast had sent me about the whole thing. I sent that to Mr. Dana White. Dana White, I can assure you, was not pleased with John Jones's actions at all. He was very unhappy with John Jones. I can say that. Now, on to John Jones's latest thing. Let's be honest, people. Does this seem like something that John Jones would do? We've seen it before, and now we're seeing it again. I think this is just a scapegoat. I think John Jones, and I know you're listening, and I pray to God somebody links this to you, or one of your little cronies, or your Bible thumping, gay bashing, fag hating, whatever you want to call them, friends, if you have any friends at all. I hope they get this to you, and I hope you listen very close to what I'm about to say, because John Jones, you're a young kid. I kind of liked you until you fought Shale, of course, obviously. Then you made your first big mistake. But I kind of liked you. I was going for you until you backed out of that UFC card, until you backed out of the fights with Shale Sonnen, until you got manhandled by Shale Sonnen. What's going on? I'm not going to rant and talk about how bad John Jones is and how much of a coward and go crazy about, personal attacks on John Jones because I think he's kind of doing that himself right now. I don't think I need to go there really with John Jones. He's kind of showing his true colors lately, hasn't he, boys? He's, to say my phone got stolen is absolutely ridiculous. I don't buy that one bit. It's way too hokey. What I think we are seeing is the actual true John Jones coming out. The John Jones that the King of the World, Chael Sonnen, actually brought to light. That, he portrays to be, he used to portray to be this nice kid, saving people or whatever that story was, stopping muggers before UFC. I don't buy any of that crap. John Jones is just a punk kid. He's insecure about himself. He's insecure about his championship because he's been beaten by Chael Sonnen, because Alexander Gustafsson beat the crap out of him. I think he's insecure. He has the spotlight now, and he has no clue what to do with it. He has not read Chael Sonnen's Voice of Reason book, I can assure you, because he'd be a lot different if he had done that. We are seeing the true John Jones, and I think it's just a matter of time before Dana White, the UFC, and the rest of the world say, this guy's a frickin' fruitcake. Let's get him the hell out of here. Don't want to step on Rams's turf and say, let's get in there. Let's get a work in there somewhere so he loses this stupid title. The one that he should have lost to Chael P. Sonnen. Can we just give Chael the title? Can we give the title to somebody that actually deserves it? A great guy that's not going to come and gay bash 14-year-olds. Come on, seriously. Let's give that title to somebody that's going to respect it, that's going to honor it, that's going to be the face of the UFC. That is Chael P. Sonnen, not John Jones. Fire him immediately.
Guess not. So we'll throw to Davey. Dave, what do you think about this John Jones nonsense?
I did a John Jones purge like a long time ago, so I'm not gonna go back and go through it again. I mean, but his I guess his answer for what happened after the fact, after the gay bashing on a 15-year-old Swedish kid, it's a good excuse, I probably try to say the same thing and keep my mouth shut for a while, because I think the last thing you need to do is try to defend yourself when you got caught red-handed. So he's doing the right thing by keeping his mouth shut, actually. So I'm pretty sure behind closed doors, Dana, and the UFC officials are keeping an eye on John Jones and stuff, and his character. But I mean it's right there. I mean it's open for everyone to see and stuff like that. I mean, John Jones, he's young, he's a celebrity, and he's going down like the same road. He's going to crash and burn like Lindsay Lohan, and where no one's going to respect him. And he's a great fighter. He really is. I mean, the reach advantage, I mean, that is an advantage for him, stuff like that. But he's a great athlete. But he just needs to realize that, like, he is a role model. He is a role model for like a lot of fans and stuff like that. And he's representing the UFC, and he just needs to stop and really think about his company. I mean, it's not really about himself anymore. It's about the UFC. It really is. It's about him being a champion and him being, to quote Randy Couture, an ambassador of the sport. Besides fighting and stuff like that, and showing other fans and stuff like that, or other people who don't watch UFC, who don't watch mixed martial arts, that it is a professional sport. And that's something that John Jones is not doing right now. He's not being a professional right now. I mean, that's all I got to say about that one.
Yeah, man. I think you guys summed it up pretty nicely. I think everybody's there's a general consensus here, and it is that John Jones is not a good person in our opinions. What else can I say that they haven't? I don't buy this whole story about the fag-hating phone thief. I don't buy it for 1 second. All right? You got John Jones's manager saying his phone was stolen, and then you got Dana White today saying it was hacked. We got two different stories here. Which was it? Was it stolen, or was the phone hacked? Right? There's a big difference there. They can't even get the cover story straight. Let's face it, John Jones is going to some crazy ass church, all right? He's telling and we got this poor little 15, 13-year-old kid sitting there on the internet, I'll just do my little 13-year-old shtick with a champ on Twitter, just goofing around. Now all of a sudden he's traumatized for life. This kid, he followed me yesterday after this all went down, or whenever the hell it was, 2 days ago. He was like, he followed me and he DM'd me. He was torn apart, man. He was shaking. He hasn't been able to sleep for the past 2 days. Maybe I'll get him on my show. He'll tell you all about it. He hasn't been able to sleep or eat. He doesn't know if he's a sinner or not now. He's confused. This kid's 7 or 8 years old, and he's got to deal with this shit. It ain't right. I don't buy it. John Jones didn't lose his phone, all right? I believe in my heart that he is homophobic, and that is something I completely disapprove of. You would never catch me ever saying anything against the homosexual race or whatever, what have you, gender specific, this and that. Word on the street. Nothing against faggots, but I'm tired of seeing all these queers in the UFC. That wasn't me, people. Earlier today, my phone was stolen. Word on the street. He is a faggot. It was hacked. My Instagram.
Oh, man. Let's fast forward a little bit. We had Dana White in the UFC doing a press conference today. Not at the Amway Arena, not at the Orlando Convention Center, but at Shaquille O'Neal's house. Pretty fun. One of the bits of news that I think most people were talking about, Dana White saying that Tyron Woodley versus Rory McDonald, the winner of that will not get an automatic title shot, which was surprising. A lot of people thought those were the two names at the front of the line. Whether this opens the door for Nick Diaz, for Hector Lombard, who knows? We've yet to see. But do you think it's fair that Dana White's saying that the winner of Woodley versus Rory, who both guys think that right now they deserve a shot, he's saying that the winner might not be awarded a fight against Johnny Hendricks? Do you think that's fair? Alan, if you're back, are you back? No, Alan's not back, so I'll throw it to Dave. What do you think about them not giving a title shot to the winner of Woodley and Rory?
Something's brewing, something's brewing real bad with this one, I think. When Dana White says, like, these guys are not going to get, like, an immediate title shot and something like that, something's brewing on that one. I think maybe, there could be something behind closed doors. Maybe they got a hold of Nick Diaz, and talked it out, whatever, and said, hey, give you a little tune-up fight, and then next you know you're going to fight Johnny Hendricks, next year. But I think for the both of them, Tyron Woodley and Roy McDonald, aka Marilyn Manson, they should. I mean, if they go out and prove it, to Dana White that one of them deserves to, be the guy and stuff like that, I think Dana would have no choice but to give them the shot at the title and take it from there. But I think when Dana White says something like that, usually he means it. Like, these guys more likely will not get a title shot. That's my take on it.
Let's be honest here, people. This has nothing to do with Tyrone Woodley. It's the UFC's attempt, it's Dana White's attempt to stop another John Jones from becoming champion. Roy McDonald is a fruitcake and not the kind that I like. Roy McDonald is nuts. He is right now. I have it on the word on the street. I have it a good authority that Roy McDonald is skinning a live puppy wearing a sheep's face while listening to some old 50s tunes as we speak.
I don't doubt that shit one bit.
Do we want that guy as champion? This has nothing to do with Tyrone Woodley. He's a great fighter. He's a great guy. This is to prevent, at all costs, Rory McDonald, his creepy ass, his boring, stupid, whatever you want to call Rory McDonald. It's to keep him out of that title shot, which is exactly where he needs not be. Having that said, Rory McDonald, you're a nutcase, and not in the good way. Having that said, hopefully, the Ninja has a lot of hope that that Nick Diaz or Nate Diaz, whichever Diaz, I get him confused. I don't really care. Let him fight both. Both of them should fight Johnny Hendricks. Who gives a shit? The one that can fight Johnny Hendricks, hopefully we see that is what's going on here, because that's going to be the moneymaker. That's going to be the fight everybody's going to want to watch. I want to watch that fight, and it already hasn't happened yet. It's not made. Hopefully that's what's brewing. Other than that, please, Dana White, I know you're listening. When the Ninja speaks, Dana White listens. Please do everything you can not to let Rory McDonald get a title shot. Please.
You with us, Ramses?
Oh, shit. Sorry, I didn't realize it was my turn.
It's all good, bro.
Yeah, Woodley McDonald. Yeah, that makes sense, man. They're not title already. What the fuck? Didn't Roy lose his last fight or some shit? Give me a damn break. No, he just fought Lawler anyway. There's nothing. What the hell's that gonna draw? I'm sorry. Got his ass whooped by the wrong guy, unfortunately, leading up to a title run. Now that guy is the damn champ, but you already fought and lost to his ass. Nah, man. Roy's got to be a stepping stone for a little while longer. Woodley, I mean, he only beat Conduit by fucking telekinesis. Nah, man. This is the right call here. Welterweight division's too stacked. They got to make room for guys like Mike Pierce and Kelvin coming up. These guys, Woodley, McDonald, Conduit, put them out, all right? Maybe Woodley can stick around. Maybe, I don't know. But, I don't really care about him too much. I'm sorry. I don't have anything else to say, man. Good call. They don't deserve title shots yet.
Hey, Jake, let me cut in real fast. Speaking of Kevin Gastelum, shout out to Front Row Brian on this one, but apparently, I don't know, I shot you guys this Twitter feed. I guess Front Row Brian was saying that Kevin Gastelum fired Shane Baldwin. Did you guys hear about that?
Right.
Just now.
Yeah, Shane's a dude that fucking basically owes Chael $27,000, not paying up from sponsorship money. He just tried to skip town or something like that. He's convicted of a Ponzi scheme a couple years ago. This guy's just a thief, man, trying to work people. And he's lucky he's still breathing.
I just want to point out, as the heir to Chael Sonnen's throne, as his undisputed protector and lead knight in the Shale Sun and Kingdom, that this guy, I don't know who he is, I'm not going to mention his name, may or may not be missing, and ninjas may or may not have had something to do with that. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Tearing them
Nice.
apart. Yeah, this guy is good for fucking nothing. Ramsey Stidda, you have anything else to add on him before we move on? I am really glad to see that Gastelum has cut ties with him. This piece of garbage.
Yeah, exactly. I just hope that, anything bad that could possibly happen to somebody in their life, I hope it happens to this guy. And that's the word on the street.
It's kind of funny. I'm looking at this asshole's Twitter now. It's funny how he can pretend to be so buddy with Luke Barnett and Calvin Gastelum. Yeah, I ripped off your coach. Whatever. Yeah, the word eventually will get around if you're a piece of shit. And I'm glad to hear that the word got around to Shane Baldwin. We will move on though to one final bit of news before we get to the 7 seconds of sports. We got a fight tip locked and loaded, ready as well. Jake Shields signing with the World Series of Fighting. We got a lot of welterweights in the World Series of Fighting now. John Fitch, Husamar Palhares, now Jake Shields. Is Jake Shields right now the best welterweight in the promotion? I say yes. Alan, I guess, is dead, so we'll throw it to Davey first. Who do you think is the best welterweight that the World Series of Fighting's got?
I mean, the champion right now is Wushmar Palhares. But I think I think the World Series fight needs to cash in on a fight with Palhares and Jake Shields. I mean, when it comes to jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, they can kind of negate each other and stuff. I mean, and Palhares, his heel hooks have only been really tested once by Alan Belcher, and he was defending them big time. He was just kept slipping through, and Palhares couldn't really touch him. I mean, you can't really count Nate Marquardt in a sense, because I mean, Palhares complained that like he was greasing his ankles and stuff, but I mean, legitimately, Alan Belcher was going through him, and Belcher's no slouch when it comes to jiu-jitsu. It's kind of underrated in my eyes, actually. I think he's awesome in jiu-jitsu, but you're going up against a guy who's known for jiu-jitsu, and you're going up against Jake Shields. I think if anybody can negate his submission heel hooks, it would be Jake Shields, and I think the World Series of Fighting needs to cash in on it. So when it comes to like who's the best welterweight, it's the champion right now. Who has the strap? It's Palhares.
I agree with that point to an extent. I look at this more as a marketing thing. No doubt Jake Shields should be the first one to get that challenge. Right now, he should get the thing. World Series of Fighting definitely needs the marketing and the build-up that Jake Shields brings with him to that promotion. I think it'd be a great fight. Obviously, you don't know who the best welterweight or whatever division that those guys fight in. Obviously, you don't know who's the best until they all fight it out, duke it out, and then you see. But Jake Shields kind of has an aura and a record and a legacy that he's bringing to the World Series of Fighting. So you really can't discredit that. So for me personally, as far as the question goes, I think Jake Shields is the best until I see somebody beat that legacy.
As far as I'm concerned, Jake Shields died on the night that he fought Hector Lombard. All right, he's dead to me. I picked up by a new organization. Give me a damn break. This guy was too busy worried about GSP's raps than he was about what was going on with his own hands. Maybe if he'd used them more, he wouldn't have been unemployed, cut from the greatest fighting organization on the planet.
Are you saying that Jake Shields is, we'll say he's hanging out with Antonio Silva now?
He's buried, man. The UFC did bury Jake Shields. He's done. All right, this guy had nothing left. There's 2 rules. Just being a successful fighter, there's only 2 things you have to do. You either have to win, or you have to at least have exciting fights. He broke rules number 1 and 2. So he's losing his job. Now he's getting picked up by some. They're picking up scraps. All right. I'm sorry. Jake Shields, I'm not a big fan. It was lazy. He got thrown around by Lombard like you would throw around a hooker while you're fueled up on cocaine. Cocaine just ran out. Same shit. Jake Shields, man, clean up your act. Get into rehab. But don't ever come back to the UFC. I mean, that's foregone conclusion. We never want to see you back. Nobody's ever gonna buy a Jake Shields pay-per-view. Nobody. And that's the word on the street. It's harsh.
A harsh word on the street today. I'm looking forward to the 8th edition tonight of Ramsey's Fight Tips. But first, we got a couple fights to break down in the 86th edition. Actually, we've always done the 10 solid seconds of sports. This week, we're trying to save a little bit of money. We're going to do the 7 solid seconds of sports. Let's do it. Gareth Bale with an amazing run to win Real Madrid the Copa del Rey 2-1 over Barcelona. Liverpool looking good to win the Premiership. Playoffs kick off in hockey and basketball. Regular season begins in baseball. The MLB. No. That's right. 2 fights to break down before we get to this week's fight tip. Then break down UFC on Fox 11. Then send it off to the internets. Ronda Rousey going to be taking on Alexis Davis on the co-main event at UFC 175. Another card where we see Weidman and Rousey defend their belts. This time against Alexis Davis. We heard a little bit about Holm being brought into the UFC. They apparently didn't offer her enough. They aren't interested in Cyborg until they can see her cut to 135 and do well there. And apparently Dana's talking to Carano, but nothing's happened yet. Kat Zingano has gone through a lot, both injury-wise and obviously tragedy in her family, so they're giving her time. I don't think she wants to spend time away from her kid in a full training camp anytime soon. So they're giving the fight to Alexis Davis. Who you got in this one? I think it will be an obvious across the board Ronda Rousey first round sub pick. But who should Ronda Rousey fight next if conditions were ideal? If the UFC could put anyone in front of Rousey next? Personally, I really want to see the Zingano fight. Kat's a hell of a fighter, but with Zingano out, Holm not joining yet, Carano, who knows? Cyborg still needs to a cut. If you're taking all these women out of the picture, yes, I do think Davis deserves it next. Davey, what do you think?
I said this on the roundtable. Congrats to Alexis Davis. She got her title shot against Ronda Rousey, but it's going to be a first round armbar. It's probably going to be faster than Sarah Kaufman getting armbarred by Ronda Rousey in the last Strikeforce event, women's event. But after that, who do I? I mean, if everything was aligned and stuff, who do I want to see? I want to see Cyborg and Ronda Rousey. I want to see what Rousey would do if she can cut down to 135. I want to see how she would verbally defend herself against Cyborg if she made it to 135. I want to see what can happen if Ronda Rousey demands for drug testing, like how John Jones is doing with Glover Teixeira, and see Cyborg going clean and stuff. Again, a lot of people are portraying this idea that Cyborg is a avid steroid user. She got caught once, guys. She got caught once, and Ronda Rousey is working you. It's a work. I don't believe that Cyborg is a avid steroid user. I think she just got caught once. That's it. She paid her dues. I think she learned from it, and now, if all that aligned, if Ronda's plan is to keep talking more and stuff like that, she'll cut down to 135. She said herself. She said, hey, test me anytime. She's gonna be clean. But when those cage door locks, I think we're gonna see Ronda get a little nervous this time, because there's no more talking. There's no more talking about this one. That's the fight I want to see. But anything after that with Kat Zingano, I mean, it's unfortunate what's been happening and stuff like that. Do I think she deserves a title shot? Yes, I do, but I do not believe that would happen. I mean, think back when Carl Parisian and Matt Serra fighting. They were fighting to go up against Matt Hughes. Parisian won the fight. Parisian got hurt, and then it went to Joe Riggs, but Carl Parisian never got that title shot, and I see it being the same way. Is this right here? I don't think Casagano. I think Casagano's going to have to work her way back up. She's been gone for so long. I don't think they're going to hold a title shot for her. They held Dominic Cruz's. Dominic Cruz was the champion for like the longest time and stuff like that. They finally just stripped him of it. I see it going the same way.
Yeah, no doubt. The Queen of Arm Bars. Again, like was said earlier, shout out to Alexis Davis for getting that spot. Even though there's other people that should have it, she has it. She's got that title shot, and that's worth something in itself. Somebody somewhere believes in her enough to put her in there with the champ. So congrats to her on that. I'll give credit to where credit's due. However, we all come on. Unless you've been living under a rock, we all know how this fight's going to go. And I'm going to enjoy every single second of it, I can assure you. Hopefully, I will be enjoying every single second of that live and in person. But that remains to be seen. I do think Kat Zingano right now is the one that should have the title shot. Unfortunately, like everybody said so far, things have happened, but I believe she is. Even if today Kat Zingano could fight, even if Carano got signed and Cyborg got signed, Kat Zingano should get that title shot before either one of those two. Because she fought her way up and earned it. Having that said, she probably won't be back soon. Obviously, the big moneymaker is Cyborg for the previously aforementioned reasons. That's going to be that might be the Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 for women's MMA. I mean, people are going to look at that match as absolute history, and I think it's going to give an insane amount of spotlight and credit to women's MMA. I think that is the moment right there when women's MMA skyrockets into something that, multi divisions, maybe a women's UFC, like, full women's pay-per-view cards. I think that's the moment that this big thing blows up. I also would really like to see Gina Carano get in there. She's a legend. They're both beautiful, beautiful women. That fight pretty much markets itself. Let's be honest. Again, Ronda Rousey, the only person in the world that I think can beat Ronda Rousey, could be Cyborg, because of the strength issue. I'm not going to say that she is. I don't think anybody can beat Ronda Rousey. I don't think Ronda Rousey is going to get defeated by anybody, any woman that is in the spotlight today. But having that said, I do think Cyborg has the best chance if there is a chance.
My God. Listen, David, you brought up Carl Parisian, man. I'm glad you did, man, because
thank you.
He's an Armenian, man, and even the Armenians training Ronda don't give a fuck or know who she's fighting. At this point, it doesn't matter, is my point here. It doesn't matter who the hell Ronda fights next. None of us care, really, deep down. Let's face it, nobody cares. Ronda's fans don't care. Cyborg, sure, that would be great. Gina Carano, yeah, whatever. Maybe somewhere down the line. It doesn't matter to the Ronda fans. They just want to see her beat some bitch up. And trust me, this division is so thin. Ronda's going to end up fighting everybody. I don't know. Who cares if it's Alexis McMahon's turn this time around? She's going to get her ass whooped. She'll probably even have to just make the rounds again. She'll fight Jessica Ai. She'll fight Jessica Duke or whoever the hell it is.
Duke Basinski.
She'll fight Sarah Davis, whoever it takes. Whatever. She's going to
Jessica Duke, Sarah Davis, Alexis McMahon.
That's right. The casual fan can't name who the one of fucking person Ronda Rousey's fought. Nobody can, all right? Nobody gives a shit is my point. She's gonna end up fighting everybody. She's gonna clean out the division. It's probably part of the contract if you're a female in the UFC that you can't beat Ronda. All right. But that's not to take away from Ronda. I mean, she's seriously whooping these girls' ass. But nobody gives a hell who she's fighting, really. Come on, who gives a damn? The only reason we want to see her fight Gina Carano is because Carano's a babe. Let's all be honest with ourselves here. All right, shout out to the Armenians. I meant no offense. Word on the street.
Now, I propose something to you all really quick. Do you see the UFC breaking up the four horsewomen and putting, because the division is so light, do you think she will fight Jessamine Duke, Shayna Baszler, or Marina Shafir? Do any of you see that coming?
Absolutely not. No.
If they rise up to a title shot, I mean, it's unavoidable. But aside from a title shot, I don't think they'll force that fight to happen. And all three, obviously aside from Ronda Rousey, none of them are really close to a title. So I don't know if we even need to worry about that yet. I mean, if it happened, I'm sure, if one was the obvious number one contender and one was champ, I think they've got the maturity to fight one another and move on with their lives and not, have any spoiled milk over it.
I mean, maybe Jessamine Duke, Ronda Rousey will fight her. Maybe Shayna Baszler or Ronda Rousey fight, but I guarantee it would not be Marina Shafir. I don't think that would ever happen. I think they both grew up with each other and stuff. They're lifelong friends. I don't see Maria Shafir, Ronda Rousey fighting against each other. It goes back to teammates fighting against teammates stuff. A lot of people don't want to do that, and I think it'd be one of those stigmatas in a sense, to where they don't want to fight each other. So that's my opinion about that. But other than that, though, I mean, that's 175. That's a July card, and as far as I know, Chael Sonnen is going to be in that card against Vanderlei Silva. That's going to be a stacked card right there. That's going to be money. I just want to throw that out there. That's going to be July 5th. Chael P. Sonnen is going to beat down Vanderlei Silva and take down Andrea Vagita too as well. And that's the word.
Damn, Ramses, any thoughts before we move on to Aldo Mendez 2?
Nah, man, just Ronda Rousey, good friend of mine. The Armenians, like I said, shout out to the Armenian mafia out there. You know who you are. But it doesn't matter who this girl fights. They're all gonna get fucked up. That's a damn fact.
Ramsey's aligning himself with the Armenians. Very interesting. Last topic before the newest fight tip. We got Jose Aldo. He'll be taking on Chad Mendez late summer, early fall. The first fight, we obviously saw Aldo get a finish, ran up into the crowd. But who you got in this one, Davey boy?
Chad Mendez getting that second title shot. I think he could take Jose this time for the second time. It goes back to when GSP lost to Matt Hughes in the last second by armbar, and George came back up and was dominating people to get that title shot, and he won the second time against Matt Hughes. I think Chad Mendez can do the same thing. I mean, once when he lost to Jose Aldo in Brazil. He came back up the ladder and stuff like that, just knocking people out, knocked out Clay Guida, he knocked out some other people too as well that I can't remember on top of my head, but he was coming up too, and for Chad Mendez to get that title shot, I could see the same thing, as far as him coming up like a GSP did. I think he's going to get this win for the second time. Like I said, I mean, the only thing that's questioned Jose Aldo is his cardio. I think if, Chad Mendez can weather that storm and stuff and let, Jose, just use his energy, I think he'll gas out. He's always seemed to have issues with trying to cut down to 145. He does it successfully, but, it takes a toll on him. So I think that Chad Mendes can exploit that and like press him on the cage and stuff to where Jose can just like, you know, exert all his energy, and in the later rounds Chad Mendes can could shine and get the belt.
Sorry, guys. Thank you for mute for a second. I think this is going to be a good fight. I'm really curious right now to see if really anybody in the division can really give Jose Aldo a really good fight. Because, I don't know. The man's on such a roll. He's got some really good skills. I've never been a huge fan of either of these guys, but you know, I kind of got to call a spade. I mean, Jose Aldo's he's got some skills, and you know, nothing against Mendes. He's on a hell of a roll. He's definitely earned his way back up, but I just I don't see him taking this one either. I just don't see it. Like I said, I think Aldo's got superior skills, and I think it's going to take a little bit more of a rematch. It's going to take a really calculated guy to be able to topple Jose Aldo.
Oh man, Jose Aldo, I'm not a fan. What's with this guy? How come no one can beat him yet? I think that division, I think the top 10, it's played out. All right, there's something wrong here if they can't beat this guy. I've seen nothing from him that was mind blowing. Give me a damn break. What I'd like to see, if I could arrange it, you know, if I could bring him back from the dead, I'd like to see Jose Aldo versus Dominic Cruz in his prime. He would whoop his ass, in my opinion. I'm sorry. I'm done with Jose Aldo. He's one of these other guys. I don't care who he fights next for the wrong reasons. Not like Ronda. I just don't believe in him. I don't believe him anymore. All right, and I'm sorry. He can't speak English, so he's boring to me. That's the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line, because the word on the street says so. A couple weeks ago, the word on the street, Ramses, he brought us the 7th fight tip. Taught us how to storm a dojo. It was reported the following day there were 800,000 dojo stormings across the country. Millions of people died. Millions of people...
a lot of people got hurt.
Lost their dojos. A lot of people got hurt. A lot of people listening to the word on the street successfully burnt down a rival dojo, and we credit you for doing that. This week, we got another edition of Ramses Fight Tips. Ramses, take it away.
Thank you, people. Welcome to the Word on the Street Fight Tips here on the MMA Podcast. This week, it's going to go controversial. I just want to stress, I mean, Officer Allen, I love him to death. He's like a brother to me, god damn it. But I'm only talking about, I want you people to get this clear, I'm only talking about crooked cops here. Only the crooked ones, the bad ones. The scum of society that manages to infiltrate law enforcement. This fight tip, I'm sorry to say, is how to fight a cop and get away with doing crimes. Hopefully Alan can rebut this someday, I don't know. But look, sometimes, you get pulled over or you get stopped by the cops due to some sort of misunderstanding. For example, this may or may not have happened. One time when I was visiting Yuma, Arizona, I didn't realize that murder was illegal. So I ended up in a deadly bar fight. It cost the lives of 5 folks. I went back to my shitty motel right after to do more cocaine, and sure enough, the cops show up an hour later. So I ain't going fucking back to jail, and that's all I have to say about that particular incident. Listen, here's some tips in case an evil cop approaches you and you got to take him out. All right, people. All right, just someone evil, not even someone unworthy of the badge. All right. When a cop pulls you over, he's coming up to you with the gun, with his hand already on the gun. You ain't gonna outdraw him that way. No, you gotta say some shit to distract him and catch him off guard at first. All right, you gotta just be like, "Oh, officer, it's a damn shame about 9/11, huh?" Or like something like, "Hey, officer, maybe you should call home and check on your wife. Word on the street is that she's having an affair, bro." All right, and then when the cop hesitates or he's looking at your fake ID, you throw cocaine in your face to blind him. All right, this gets rid of the evidence that you got on you, and you can also claim in court that you were just doing what you had to do because the cop was high and skiing the white slopes. He was fucking powdering his nose on duty and whatnot. All right, just toss that cocaine in your face. Blah. And then, in case something goes wrong, when you're stopped by a cop, you always want to wear rubber-soled shoes, rubber soles on them. This is so that if he uses a taser on you, it doesn't work because you're not grounded. All right, that electricity, it'll just whatever. You can catch the taser as it's coming at you. Training up thug jitsu, and you can just use its own inertia, and you can throw it right back into the cop's throat. I'm not saying you should do this. I'm just saying it's an option. And when if you get sooner or later you're gonna get the crooked cop unconscious, right? That's when you put him in the trunk of his own squad car, and you push that fucker off a cliff into the river. All right, this will make it look like a suicide, and just boom, you're home free. Again, my apologies to Officer Allen. He's one of the good guys out there. I'm just saying, man. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. It's a rough world. It's hard times. That's the word on the street. Fight tip, people. God bless us all. Save us.
That was beautiful. Alan, you actually rejoined the call at a perfect moment. What did you think of Ramsey's fight tip? Would all those tips work when confronted with a crooked cop?
I think we lost him again, dude.
Oh, that son of a bitch. Yeah, he has.
Oh, you don't worry. I can feel this one.
Oh yeah, Ninja Larson, field it for us. Can you actually catch a taser and use the inertia to turn him around into the cop's throat
with the rubber shoes?
Oh my god!
Don't tase me, bro.
This had to have been the greatest fight tip that I think I've ever heard yet to date. Shout out to Ramses, word on the street for it. As for the actual effectiveness of this fight tip, I'm sorry, I am just busting up laughing over here.
Alan, sorry, Alan dropped off again. Fuck.
First of all, let the people know I was a cop for many, 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 many years. Firefighter, EMT, all that fun stuff. So first of all, I'll just put it from my perspective. Coming up to the window, little Ramses is there in his 1976 Honda Accord. If they even made him back then, I don't know.
It's a 2013 Ford F450.
Yeah.
Either way. So let's just start with the point of, hey, you should, word on the street is your wife's having an affair. First of all, that's probably going to get you shot. Or yanked out of the car really, really fast. And then on top of that, you want to throw a pound of cocaine in the cop's face. So basically what you're doing is creating a monster cop that is just going to eat you alive. Because a cocained up cop, that's not gonna fare well for you. It has been proven, actually, having been tased before multiple times, because apparently cops think it's really funny to watch another cop get tased in training. So, having said that, it is feasible that you could, it's just mind over body kind of thing. You could grab the wires and snap them. I've seen it on like Fight Science and stuff like that. But let me assure you, it is really freaking hard. You get hit with that taser and you flop like a fish. There's just nothing, unless you seriously practice on getting tasered a ton and then how to control your muscles afterwards. That's years of getting tased and learning how to do that.
You weren't wearing the right shoes, bro.
rubber-soled shoes. That's the part where I think I lost it when I was muted up here, because that is hilarious.
That's science,
I'm
dude.
not. You know what? You're right. It's science. I'm not even gonna discredit that. Go down to your local police department. Go down to your local police department with the biggest sold rubber fucking boot shoes you can find, and get them to tase you.
Word on the
Because it's
street.
science. Just, hey, I'm wearing rubber shoes. I'm standing on a fucking tire. Do something like that. Hey, tase me, and let me know how that works. Otherwise, great fight tips, actually.
We will move on to UFC on Fox 11, Verdum versus Brown. Let's get straight into the prelims. It's going to be this Saturday, the prelims on Fight Pass. We're going to see Derek Lewis versus Jack May, Mirsad Bektik versus Chaz Skelly, Dustin Ortiz versus Ray Borg. Also on Fox Sports 1, we're going to see 6 fights. It's going to be a long card. Jordan Meehan, a huge favorite over Hernani Perpetual, who's actually fighting at a Nova União. KO Magalhães against Luke Zacharick. Featherweight fight between Estevan Payan and Alex White. George Masvidal taking on Pat Healy at lightweight. Thiago Alves versus Duke's brother Seth Basinski at welterweight. And at lightweight, RDA Rafael Dos Anjos taking on Khabib Nurmagomedov. That one obviously stands out a bunch to me. What stands out to you, Dave?
The Khalid fight actually stands out to me out of anything. I've been waiting to see the Eagle fight again. I mean, there's so many people that didn't want to fight him, and then I remember Michael Johnson actually wanted to fight him too, and Khalid was like, no, I don't want to fight you. But overall though, like I've been waiting to see the MMA or Khalid, the Eagle, come in and come back to fight. That fight stands out to me.
Yeah, I pretty much don't give a crap about anybody that was mentioned thus far. And I just got to parrot Dave's words. Yeah, that fight's going to be freaking awesome. I cannot wait. That may, in fact, be a candidate for fight of the night, in my opinion.
What's the
These
word?
fights, I haven't even looked at the damn card, man. Verdum, Brown, that's all I know. I'll be watching, though. That's what really counts. That's all the UFC cares about. But as far as knowing their names and faces, this is one of those cards, man. I don't know. Hopefully we'll see. It'll be one of these cards where on paper it just looks like absolute toilet paper, but it ends up being a good watch. That's all I gotta say about it, man.
Brief but concise. Let's move straight to the main card. A middleweight fight. Brad Tavares on a big win streak taking on the wrestler Yoel Romero, who's got some heavy hands too. I love that fight, and the winner is probably top 10 in the middleweight division. I mean, shit. It's, the winner is in a great spot. And a lightweight between Donald Cerrone, Edson Barboza. That fight is going to be fun as fuck. I got the Coloradoan Donald Cerrone winning that one. He's looked impressive of late. What do you think about these two fights, Dave?
Oh man, Brad Tavares. I think he's the most in the middleweight division. He is underrated, and I do see him going 3 rounds against Yoel Romero. Actually, to take it back too, I heard about Yoel Romero, like after, we did the MMA roundtable. I went back and I'm trying to find out about this guy, and he actually did fight. He did fight a couple people in the UFC. Actually, I think he fought one person in the UFC, Lawrence Larkin, and he did a good job. He really did. But I see just a lot of people just not giving Brad Tavares a chance, and I disagree. It's, to me, Brad Tavares is the underdog in the middleweight division, and I see him winning that fight somehow, some way, and people are just sleeping on him. So after that, Brad Tavares should probably fight Michael Bisping, and then take it from there. Now, Donald Cerrone against Edson Barboza, dynamite right there. There's nothing else I could really say about that. It's going to be a strike fest. I don't see it going to the ground that much. I see Edson really using his striking skills, his hands, and and his speed, his leg kicks like no other against Don Cerrone. But Cerrone's no slouch, though. I mean, he has hands too, and he can submit people as well. But I think the speed factor is going to be the Achilles heel in this fight, and I think Edson will edge him on that one. So for my picks for that one, Brad Tavares is going to win. Edson Barbosa is going to win.
I guess it's on to me now. The first fight, I'm just going to skip over that because that's probably what I'm going to do when I'm watching this card. That'll probably be a beer run moment for me. I couldn't give two craps about that. Knowing what is coming up next, Donald Cerrone, I think he's got that all the way. I'm gonna even go with a late first round, early second round knockout for the Cowboy, and hopefully gets him right back on track and gets him where he needs to be. That is also going to be a candidate for fight of the night.
None of these fights matter to me. I mean, who can even break down fights at a time like this, man? That kid was 4 or 5 years old, and John Jones was calling him a fag, just traumatizing this poor boy for life, man. I don't know.
We're going back to that again. All right.
I'm just saying, I can't break down this card. I can't do it. Sit me out of the breaking down. I can't do it at a time like this. Maybe you gentlemen can. Maybe some of you agree with John. And I just want to say, sweet Lord Jesus, forgive all of you. Word on the street.
Jake from the MMA Podcast, can we go back to John Jones? Because,
Ninja, let him have it. Ninja, let him have it.
John Jones, you piece of crap. This is just sad. Poor Ramses is almost in tears over here. Can't even break down the fights that he loves. See the ripples. See the cause and effect that you bring to the UFC. I used to say it a lot. Greg Jackson was a cancer. I don't like the guys from TriStar, but I think you're outshadowing all of them. See what your homophobic slurs and your gay bashing has done.
The kid was 3 years old.
It's broken down our podcast, and for fuck's sake, the kid was 2 years old. This is ridiculous. John Jones, you should be ashamed to show your face in public. You should be ashamed to be a champion, to call yourself a fighter, to call yourself a celebrity, and I use the biggest fake frickin' no quotes, finger quotes, whatever you call those. I don't really care. John Jones has broken down the very fabric of the legendary MMA podcast, and for that, you will never be forgotten. I think we should start a fund for this poor kid that he is so absurdly broken. This kid's he's gonna have to pay for counseling. I mean, he was God
already
knows,
in the hospital.
He puts kids in the hospital. He eats baby ducks. Okay,
live baby ducks.
I cannot support anybody that eats live baby ducks while their phone is stolen or whatever.
Tim Marchman, a writer on Deadspin, he writes a lot of stuff I disagree with as far as MMA goes. I've actually talked to him, said, man, you're really putting a horrible spin on the UFC. We actually had a pretty nice back and forth. It was respectful, unlike the one I had with John Jones. He wrote a great article today, and I want you to go check it out on Deadspin. Just search, Google search, UFC champ calls some guy a fag, Deadspin, and the story should come up. It's pretty good. He breaks down the story well, and I'm going to read the last couple paragraphs, because I think the last couple paragraphs, now that we're really getting into it, It wasn't my choice, but apparently we're really getting into it, and and I think it really breaks down the whole story very well. Here we go. A hacker did it is always a pretty ridiculous claim, and seems especially ridiculous here. First, you have the transparently ludicrous idea that some guy who acquired Jones' phone and wanted to make him look bad would, having figured out his password, immediately head to Instagram and comment on some Swedish kid's photo rather than, say, posting risible nonsense to Twitter and or Facebook. Second, preaching at a troll about how homosexuality is a sin is actually a very John Jones thing to do. Wanting to get the facts, I texted Jones's manager. The next morning, I got a call from a very nice PR specialist who assured me this was all a huge misunderstanding and that Jones hadn't had his phone on him when these awful comments were posted. Further, she said, she knows he's not a homophobe because she's been with him on photo shoots where there were lots of gay people around, and she's seen him manage not to use any homophobic slurs around them. She said she'd get back to me within the hour with the full facts of the case. She didn't, and ignored a follow-up email. Perhaps Jones was the victim of a comically ineffectual phone thief / hacker, and perhaps one of his weed carriers snagged the phone and decided to troll a troll under John's name. The simplest explanation, though, that a week and a half ahead of a title fight, the UFC's best fighter decided to just bully some random kid on the internet with a lot of homophobic nonsense for no evident reason, is probably the right one. Jones is a complex guy. He's incredibly focused and intelligent. One of the problems his coaches have with him is that he stays up too late the night before the fight watching video. He's kind and generous, the sort of guy who gives away cute puppies. He's also narcissistic and sensitive, bears the marks of having been raised by bigoted religious zealots, and his competitive comes out as cruelty in much the same way that Michael Jordan's does. The way all this works together makes him an incredibly compelling athlete. The guy who really should be the crossover star MMA is waiting for, and at times a trial to be around. I'd like to think he's better than this. The protestations of his handlers aside, I doubt he is. Powerful, powerful words by Tim Marchman. I think we can put a bow on it pretty much after that, unless anything has anything else to add in before we move to Tate Carmouche. Putting aside just this one issue, Marchman brings up the issue of how ridiculous all of this is. I mean, John Jones is in the driver's seat. He's one of the best fighters out there, yet he's going on Instagram calling kids fags. What is going through this guy's head? I love the Michael Jordan comparison because Jordan was one of the best and yet still was known to be, just have this thing in him that made him, really sort of, cruel when his competitiveness comes out. Davey?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, the Michael Jordan thing, I do like that comparison. I mean, Michael Jordan being like the greatest of all time. And Michael Jordan never really had a second to himself without, someone noticing him and stuff like that. So, I mean, I can see Michael Jordan being kind of rude to some people because, maybe he wants the space and stuff like that. It's pretty much like embedded into like a brand where like anything he signs, like he's going to want some money. If you guys want to check it out, actually. Chamillionaire, he's a rapper, but he goes on this 10-minute story on how Michael Jordan pretty much dissed him. So I mean, check it out on YouTube. I was actually shocked, when I heard it. But check it out on YouTube. But it could go the same thing with John Jones in a sense too. I mean he really doesn't have a second for himself. And he's not really, I'm not, and I don't say it's meanly, but maybe not maturing to where he knows, just to know how to keep his mouth shut and whatnot, So, but the whole hacker thing, yeah, I don't buy that one bit. I think maybe what John should do is just admit, hey, listen, I got a little emotional on Instagram. I apologize. Maybe give the Swedish kid, him and his family, front row seats to his fight against Global Share, just try to make amends and stuff like that, and just bury the hatchet and move on from there. But like I said, I mean, John Jones is doing the best thing that John Jones could do right now is keep his mouth shut. Because I mean, when you have the Wolves, wanting answers and whatnot, whatever you say is going to be used against you. So John Jones is doing the right thing on that one. But it's just so funny to me because I mean, I see that like everybody wants to see John Jones go down, and it's worse than seeing King Joffrey getting killed from Game of Thrones. It's like one of those moments right there.
Damn.
Ramsey's
Well,
Ninja. Yeah, Ninja.
well, I mean, God knows I'm not one to take the microphone and drop pipe bombs at every opportunity that I possibly can. John Jones, you're a fraud, a fake, and a coward. And for all the little 12-year-old boys that you bash, for all the Swedish kids that are crying in hospitals because you've broken their dreams, from all the little Jakes from the MMA podcast that you try to publicly humiliate, John Jones, the hound of justice, offers you this right now. There is an open invitation to Andre Dida to walk up to my door and we could settle this like men. John Jones, I know you won't do it because apparently you like to pick on little kids, but if you feel froggy in any port of the time between now and your next fight or whenever you got free time, that door is open to you. Stand face to face with a man and try to bully me around like you did that poor innocent kid. John Jones, I'll leave the light on for you.
Let's send this topic home like we always do. Ramsey's break it down for us, then we'll get to Tate versus Carmouche.
I just want to say, they should cut John Jones and Michael Jordan. These guys are out of control. Apparently, you guys heard the testimony from Ninja and David. I mean, it's preposterous. This little kid, I'm gonna try to get him on the show. I'm telling you, man, but the kid's he's gonna turn 4 next month, and he's gotta deal with this shit. It's not right. Don't believe the cover story about my phone was hacked or my phone was stolen. They can't even get it straight. That's how dumb they think you are, people. And but I love them. God bless them. They're just covering up for this damn fool. This damn fool that can't control himself, can't control a motor vehicle, his emotions, his outbursts. He will be defeated soon, people. I mean, Chael took him out, but of course,
He eats live baby ducks, for fuck's sake.
Yep, that kid was just this kid. It was his first time on the internet. He signed up for Instagram, and now he's got the light heavyweight champion of the world, apparently, allegedly, calling him a fag. You guys be the judge, all right? Word on the street. He is a faggot. My phone was hacked.
Women's bantamweight fight co-main event on UFC on Fox 11. Miesha Tate and Liz Carmouche. Miesha Tate probably possesses more of the technical striking, grappling. She's a good wrestler. Liz has got a lot of power. I want to say Liz probably came closer to finishing Rousey than Tate. It's almost sunk in that rear naked choke. Liz has got to go out there and make it a dogfight. If she lets Miesha dictate the pace of the fight, I think Miesha will win. If she makes her uncomfortable, I think Liz will have more of a chance. I mean, not a lot of people are talking about this fight, but this is a fight with a lot of implications at women's bantamweight. The loser is not going to be in a very good position at all. The loser might be a loss or two away from a cut, while the winner is putting themselves back in the title hunt for the 135-pound belt. What do you think about the fight? Tate Carmouche, Davey, who yeah?
I got Miesha Tate on this one, and I mean, unfortunately, I'm not trying to say anything bad, but this should not be a co-main event in my eyes. They are both great fighters. Don't get me wrong, they are. But I mean, for the both of them, for one of them to win, and think there's going to be some type of title implications like right now, I don't see that happening. Liz lost second round armbar. Misha lost, I think, fourth round armbar. And out of all of them, I mean, I think Tate would have the better draw of a fight, a title fight against Ronda Rousey. With that being said, though, I mean, I think Misha Tate's going to win this fight. Honestly, she has more skills than Liz Carmouche in the sense of where, like, the fights that Misha Tate's been in, anything from like a grappling match to a stand-up war and stuff. Her experience with the fighters that she's fought against, she's going to know Liz Carmouche's game plan. But it's not to say anything bad about Liz Carmouche. She is a great fighter. She is a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces, and I respect her for that too as well. If she goes out there and fights Misha Tate, it's going to be all hard for her. But I think Misha's gonna take her down.
I apologize to everybody on this podcast. It's really tough. I know it must be tough for all of you to follow one of my ninja public assassinations like I just did. There's been 3 on John Jones tonight. So I apologize to all of you for trying to have to keep your games up to that level, because I know it's hard for me. I'm going to be looking forward to this fight. I'll watch this fight solely because Misha Tate's a very, very attractive woman. Liz Carmouche is a badass. Unfortunately, this fight, even if you win, really, what do you win? I mean, if Carmouche seriously just goes out there and dominates, she's got like 3 more fights before she's going to get another title shot. If Misha Tate wins, there's no way. Is anybody ever going to buy Misha Tate versus Ronda Rousey title fight again? Ever? I mean, if Ronda Rousey loses like 3 fights and then wants to have a 3rd fight with Misha Tate, maybe. But we all know that's not going to happen. This is just basically putting the show ponies out and letting them go because there's nothing going to happen from this fight. And I think Jake from the MMA Podcast, follow him at the MMA Podcast, I think he hit the nail right on the head. This isn't about who's going to be moving up in the ranks. I think this fight's going to be who's going to be moving down or possibly out of the ranks.
My God. Yeah, I think you might be onto something there, Ninja. Misha Tate, Liz Carmouche. Oh, I mean, what is this, people? I do agree with the Ninja. I will be rooting for, and I believe that Misha Tate will win based solely on her physical appearance and her good looks comparatively, given the fact that she's a female MMA fighter. For that reason alone, I wish her nothing but success. And, my heart goes out to Liz Carmouche. She is, I believe, officially the first rainbow fighter in the UFC, if you know what I'm saying. So, who knows what this crap from John Jones did to her. Will it affect her performance? We'll see. I mean, she was told that she was living in sin by one of her colleagues, co-workers. That'll fuck with you, people. It'll fuck with you. And that's all I have to say about that. I'm sorry. It's terrible.
John Jones, you're making the world a worse place every day by day. Honestly, I'm thinking about sending a Facebook message to the 2 girls he was in the car with when he got in that wreck. Just see
That's
what
right.
the story was there.
God bless him.
But then
I
that
wouldn't be
probably-
surprised if they were like 12-year-old homosexual girls as well. And
Maybe even
John
8.
Jones just had it in for him.
I think it was a 20-year-old and a 25-year-old, and now that I think about it, as shitty as the guy is, I don't want to break up the fucking dude's marriage, so I'll just let a sleeping dog lie. We got one more fight before we end the show. That's Fabricio Verdum versus Travis Brown. And before we do that, we got to bring you the stat of the day.
Start of the day! Start of the day! Start of the day! Start of the day! Here comes the start of the day!
Fabricio Verdum has committed to 21 submission attempts in his last 21 fights. He's also landed 26 takedowns in the same amount of time, 11-3 in fights where he lands a takedown. Travis Brown has not been taken down in his UFC career. And I think that Verdum takedown might end up being a big factor. We all know Fabricio probably has the edge on the mat. Brown probably has the edge standing up. Even though you can't say it's just a one-sided fight. Brown has good grappling. Verdum has shown his striking game has come leaps and bounds recently. It's a fight that Dana White said earlier today. The winner will fight Cain Velasquez later this year in Mexico if Cain can recover correctly. Davey boy, break it down for us. Who you got?
I've bet on Travis Brown so many times. You know, I bet against him against Alistair Overeem. I thought he was going to dominate Alistair Overeem, and you've seen his resiliency coming back from a knee to the liver to get back up and do a front kick to the face, Anderson Silva style. And then his fight against Josh Barnett, I honestly thought Josh Barnett was going to walk through him. And Josh Barnett was trying to take him down, had him on the fence. And Travis Brown was laying down some elbows like he did against Gabriel Gonzaga on the fence and knocked him out. I was shocked, And, I picked against him against Bigfoot Silva. He did lose. He did hurt his hamstring or whatever. But going back, though, I mean, he did show something against Bigfoot Silva in that fight. I'm going for Travis Brown. I'm not going to bet against him on this one because, I mean, like I said before, with Fabricio Verdum, does he have? I mean, he does have grappling skills. He is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I'm not trying to say he doesn't have striking skills or anything like that because a lot of people are saying his striking skills have improved. It has to caught my eye. I see Brown winning this fight. I don't see how Fabricio can, go in there and win this fight, especially if Fabricio is going to try to put him against a cage. I think that's the last thing that he has to do. He needs to take him to the ground and nowhere near the fence to where he's like clinching with them to where he's accessible to those elbows. So I have Travis Brown. Hoppa.
Dave's got Hoppa. What about you, Ninja?
This is going to be a great fight. Travis Brown has great skills, great hands, great stand-up, but and this does not come without controversy, as the Ninja is always accustomed to. I know you're only as good as your last fight, but I went against Fabricio Verdum one time before, and I hate to bring up and beat dead horses, but man, for somebody of his caliber to take down the great Fedor like he did, after that moment, I can never go against this guy again. I'm never going to doubt the skills of Fabricio Verdum after that fight. I like I said, that was incredible. It's really tough because, like I said, it's all about your last fight. You're only as good as your last fight. But I mean, that was a huge moment in MMA, I believe. And if it wasn't, then you don't know Fedor Emelianenko like you should. I believe that was huge. Ever since I've gone for Fabricio Verdum, I've never underestimated his skills. I'm not going to do that this time. I think he will take Travis Brown down for the first time in Travis Brown's career. I think he will get a submission, and that'll be that. And he'll see Cain in Mexico.
Yeah, let's come on, people. Let's be a little honest here. This main event here, Verdum versus Brown, this isn't the best that we've ever seen. This is actually a pretty weak card, I have to say. This fight here, I really don't care enough to even think about who's gonna win it. It doesn't matter to me. Probably Brown. It's because Verdum, the word in the street is that he's coming back from this injury. He's just gonna put Brown over. They've been letting Brown do all these Q&As, these public appearances. Even Dana was like, his beard's all right with me. It's they're building off the Daniel Bryan wave here, in my opinion. They're just trying to. These bearded guys, these Conor McGregors, and these I don't know, man. Half of them are gingers. I don't know what's going on. But I'll go with Travis Brown on this one, and I'm just not too excited about it, and I'm not gonna try to be. I ain't fake like that. That's the bottom line.
I could not disagree with you anymore. This UFC on Fox card is going to be dynamite. A bunch of good fights. I actually got Fabricio Verdum. I think his striking's better than a lot of people think. I think the fight will eventually go to the mat, and you don't want to be on the mat with Fabricio. So I'm the only one going Verdum. I'll take a second round submission. Why the hell not? And that does it for this week's The MMA Podcast. We appreciate you listening. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at The MMA Podcast. Visit TheMMAPodcast.com. Listen to the show Wednesday nights. Ramses, where do we find you on the tweeters? What the hell's going on? And tell us where we find the Word on the Street podcast.
I know how it is, people. You know, your kids won't talk to you. They hate you. You hate your wife. You're living every day like it's Groundhog Day, except it's the worst day of your life. You haven't been laid in years by anything true. You need something. You need a change in your life. You need someone to change your life. And that person is me. Follow me on Twitter, The Aunt Jimmy Show. Thank you for having me, Jake from the MMA Podcast. Thank you for spreading the word on the street.
Ninja Larson, bring him to Ninja Land. Where do we find you?
The world famous ninja can be found on Twitter at the Gracie Ninja. That's right, I am a Gracie and I am a ninja. I have the best of both worlds. Last thing said, I love you all. Thank you guys for letting me be on. Drop my pipe bombs. Thank you for all the support. Last two things, Andre Dida, Johnny Bones Jones, that guy I'm not supposed to speak about due to legal issues. The door is open. The light is on. Step up to the plate.
Come get your ass whooping. Davey boy, where do we find you? What the hell's going on?
Alright, first off, Gracie Ninja, always a pleasure. Ramsey, you're fucking awesome. Jake from an MMA Podcast, again, thank you for having me on the show. As far as where you can find me on Twitter, that's DaveyBoy, DAVEI_BOI. And lastly, to drop the mic on this one, in the words of Geki Sudo, the Neo Samurai, we are all one.
That's right, we are all one. Speaking of that, follow our other friends, MMA Mental, VJ Jeans, Westland Eagle AH, who was on the show a little bit, then dropped off, Ross Finkelstein, Yow_the Truth, The Family's Big, Mad Samurai, the Mystery Meds, Kevin Black, Conley, all the motherfuckers. We love the shit out of you. We love all the positive support. And we'll see you next week on the MMA Podcast. Till then, we gone.
Planet rocking with our science, silencing all these idiots caught up in all their ignorance. Two clans fighting under the same banner. We all got love for this ground game, and that's all that matters. In the balance, the teachings of the Grandmaster. I'm trying to master the system, that's what I'm at.